Hey everyone, welcome to the video. I'm going to try and keep this really short and sweet here. So before I get started, it's just normal disclaimers. Anything I say on here is not to be investment advice. You're responsible for your own trades. This market is very volatile, very high risk, and I'm not your financial advisor. So with that, I do want to, for those that have, some ADD, I want to start with just the real short and simple. We're looking down here at our daily lows, about 94 to 9,500. These are the areas that we want to make sure that we're continuing to close daily candles above. And then, of course, we're also taking a look here at a a real good trend line that isn't being developed here. So right now we're looking at about 10,150, potentially slightly higher than that. But as the days go by, this trend line is moving down. So, we're being held down by this trend line that's being created by this by the pitchfork. And so that's basically where I'm looking at right now. Anywhere between about 9,400 to about 10,150. This range is getting tighter, and I'm going to continue to be looking at this for further consolidation before we finally do break out of this. And either I don't know yet if it's going to be up or down. I'm not going to speculate on that direction. But what I will say is we're getting very close to a time of reckoning. So, all right. So that's the short. So that was the 1 minute and 34 seconds of your life that you won't get back. But if you're willing to stick around, I do want to talk a little bit about why this pitchfork is important, and I want to talk about how I created this and kind of where this came from. So, first thing I want to do is I want to take a look at our Fibonacci retracement. I'm going to start up here from the very top. I'm going to work my way all the way down here to the very bottom. Okay, and I'm going to kind of extend myself over so that I can project this here. And again, starting from the top at 13,868 and all the way down here at 9,073. So this is using the Coinbase chart, which is, it's a pretty decent pretty decent illustration of what the market actually looks like. But we can see here we had a rejection here over 3 days at this 61.8% retracement. Which is, sort of our golden zone, which, if I pulled up the 65%, we'd probably be right in that zone. So let me pull out the 65% and just kind of see where that kind of falls in place. 12,190, we did overextend it just a little bit. But we did get decent rejection in this zone. So, when this happens, it usually lends to where we would want to start looking at potential pitchforks. So again, from the pitchfork, we start at the top, we work our way to the bottom. So our dominant swings, and all the way up here to the top, which we did have a dominant swing. There's 4 different types of pitchforks you might want to look at. If you look at the original, this is not, isn't something that actually played out. We did have decent, rejections from this trend line until we started to eke our way above it, and then we broke through with a decent amount of volume, to be quite honest. But then I'm going to be looking at the shift, and that seems to be what's in play right now. So let me talk about what this is actually showing me. What this is showing me is we have, of course, our bottom pivot here, and we have our top pivot up here. We haven't come anywhere close to sort of penetrating this top pivot up here. I was actually surprised that that we haven't gotten above this. It's not a real good sign, but nonetheless, we did find support here on this trend line, and now we're finding lots and lots of resistance here. We had a front run here, but as we were able to come up and retest it, we've just been, day after day after day, just continuing and continuing over and over and over to just be rejected by this trend line. And same thing with support. We found support here, found support here. We just recently tagged it one more time just a couple hours ago. We were able to tag this. If I go down to an hourly time frame, you're going to see this same channel. We found our support here. We did kind of extend through it a bit, and then we found our support here again. And we didn't extend as much as we did before, which is kind of a good sign depending on how you look at it. But we are kind of bleeding over right now. I'm surprised, if we look at our 30-minute on our Bollinger Bands, Usually when you test the bottom band, you were going to go and we're going to test the upper band again, and we didn't really get a good test like we did, say right here. We tested the bottom of the 30-minute band, and then we tested the top of the 30-minute band, and we've just kind of been rolling over ever since. I do think that we need to reclaim 9,900. Right now, it's not looking too good, even though I am cautiously bullish. Even in this area, I am still cautiously bullish for what the charts are actually looking like, at the moment. We haven't taken out this low, which is pretty decent. So if I were to, want to put a trend line on this, we'll show that we're still above this trend line. We haven't broken below it. On the flip side, we can also take a look at this from a descending trend line. We are also consolidating here as well. We're getting very close. We're getting very close to decision time, and actually I can probably extend this potentially all the way out to here, to where we maybe haven't tested this bottom trend line again. So potentially this could be what we're looking at. We may still come down here to about 9,500, which actually 9,500 is what I was talking about last week. Last week we were talking about 9,500. This kind of came down to about 9,588 or so. It didn't come down to the 9,500 that I was looking for. We may still be looking at that in the cards to be coming down here to about 9,500 to 9,520 or so. This is still okay. So, we're looking at this from maybe an A, B, C, D, and then working our way down to an E. That could be in the cards. We're just kind of looking to see where this is going to play out. This trend line right here is somewhat important. The red trend line, this median, I don't want to see us come down this far. This would come down all the way down to about 9,200. I do not want to see us go down very much beyond this trend line. It's okay for us to penetrate it, but for us to come down and hit this median line is a pretty bearish sign. Now, if we do that, if we do come down and break down below this is kind of what I'm going to expect to see happen. So going down, taking my polyline, going down, if we come down and tag this median line, my expectation is we're going to come up and retest this, and then we're just going to completely roll over. I don't expect us to pop up and out of this if we break down this far. Now, if we break down just a little bit, that's a different story. So if we're from up here and we kind of come down here, I would expect us to come back up, find this as support, break out, find that as support, and then break up again. And again, what this would then be doing is this would be showing us that not only is this trend line going to be support, but this is also going to be support as well. So likely this is going to come a little bit deeper. But then we're going to be looking up and potentially get that retest up here, which is going to be the 10,800, 10,900. We do have to break out of this trend line, in my opinion, for us to be very bullish. I do think if we get above this line, then there are going to be several other indicators that are going to tell us that we are looking bullish. But this all remains to be seen. We have to wait for things to resolve in this area, whether it be to the upside or to the downside. Again, if we get to this median, I'm going to probably be pretty bearish and looking for shorts on a retest. If we do end up breaking down and coming back in, then breaking up, I'm going to be looking to get a long in this position over here. While I may have a hedging position at the moment, things are pretty net neutral for the time being. So, really looking at 0 up, 0 down, based on a net change as the price resolves here. So, these are the kinds of things that I'm looking at. Ethereum, I am somewhat bullish on Ethereum right now, as with most alts, kind of waiting for things to things to happen with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin makes big moves, alts are going to likely move down. I don't see alts moving up with a big move on Bitcoin. There is a chance if Bitcoin does continue to move sideways in this. We're creating a lot of volume in this area, which really in this particular $9,800 zone we haven't done since this area over here way back in the end of July. So going to kind of be looking for us to fill in some volume nodes in this area before we finally decide to break in one direction. But the bands on a daily time frame, if we take a look at the Bollinger Bands on the daily, we are definitely contracting, and the uppers are moving down, the lowers are expanding a little bit. So while this doesn't look very good, this could totally turn around and poke our way up here. Again, this is the upper band is sitting right here at about 10,600 or so. So there's still plenty of room to move in the upwards direction if we do happen to break above this trend line. As we know, there is plenty of room to go in the downwards direction. I guess one thing that I will point out here, and I do have this outlined on this chart, if we do break down out of here, again, if we hit this, this is where I'm going to be looking for things to go. So again, we're going to look at hitting this trend line, finding this as resistance, and working our way down. I am going to be looking for 8,500, but more than likely we're probably going to head all the way down to maybe even 7,200. That wouldn't surprise me. I do think that is going to take time. Potentially this could be what we're going to be looking at instead, with this taking time to resolve. I do expect there to be a significant reaction at 8,500, so I would be looking to pick up a long position in that area. But right here, this is where I'm going to be looking, and we're looking at November. Potentially November for us to go down to 72.35 if we resolve in this downward direction. And I say a big if there. So this is our bearish scenario. And again, let me just outline our bullish scenario. Bullish scenario would be something along the lines of hitting down here and then breaking up. And then we're going to be looking here to break through this and then finally break out. And I'm going to say right now the targets for our bullish scenario, they're going to be pretty high, and I did talk about them a while back. But my first target for my bullish scenario is going to eventually be at about 16,400 or so. That may seem like a far fetch, but I do think if we are able to break out of this, then we're going to be looking for that for a much higher target. So, we've completed a 5-wave, and this is essentially, a lot of people are counting this a 1, and then we're coming in here to a 2. I'm just not sure, because this formation right here, this looks like a wave 4. And a wave 4, it's supposed to show support here around the 382, which we really have. We haven't come down here to test the 50. We've stayed above the 382. So, are we just going to go in for a 5 here and hit the 16,400 and then fall over? Or is this really a 5 and which would be a completion of a 1 and we're completing a 2? If we're completing a 2, then I would expect this to occur for us to come all the way down here before we turn around and actually hit the 16,400 target. And just for the record, that is my target, 16,400, whether we break out here or whether we break out all the way down here at 7,200. If we break out at 7,200, then 16,400 is perfect, because that is, about a 100% move from this zone right here. So just kind of keeping things into perspective from a range expansion, moving from 7,200, looking for a 100% move, we are going to be looking at the 14,000 to 15,000 range. So again, we're looking at a 91% move to retest that high that we had on June 27th. And then, if we are able to get up to this target, we're looking at about 125%. So we have a higher percentage increase moving down to this range, which I think is probably still healthy. Retesting this cluster right here would probably be decent. I think that if we do break below 8,500, break below 8,000, that's going to cause a lot of panic. But in my opinion, those are going to be some of the better times to pick up good long-term, long positions. So is it okay for us to go down that low? I do think it is okay. Again, if we retest below the 618, that is not a good sign for me. I don't think that we're going to go up and hit this target if we do break down below the 618. Although it is possible for us to go as low as 5,500, 6,000, something like that, that is probably still okay. I don't want to see that happen, but nonetheless, we have seen crazier things happen, like a $3,000 move, from 13,000. 880 all the way down here to 10,346. So huge moves. Um, but yeah, this is looking like we're almost done. It looks like we're going to make a decision here real soon. On Coinbase, we're just below 9,800, continuing to move down a little bit. So keeping cautious. That's all I got for you right now. So hopefully everybody has a good day. If you have any questions, feel free to pop in the Discord. Be more than happy to answer any questions for you.